Hey everyone! Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Brittany and I am a former professional photographer who now dedicates my time to deep diving the systems marketed to photographers and other small businesses so that you don't have to. As we head into the months where mini sessions are all the rage, I wanted to focus specifically on the booking aspect of those sessions. There is a platform called Session, super aptly named, and when we load up their site, the first thing we see is booking so easy it hurts. This platform is designed for photographers boasting features that uniquely serve your photography business, without all the bells and whistles you never needed. It promises to streamline the booking process, making it easier and more efficient. I had contemplated signing up for Session in the past for my minis, but like most things, timing was always an issue. When I had the time to test it, I was busy with other business or personal things, and when I actually needed it, it was not the best time to start testing a new product. If that sounds familiar, buckle up because we are going on this journey together. I have a few key categories I want to split our investigation up with, and the time markers for all of these categories will be in the description as well. The first thing we'll look at is pricing. I always look at pricing first because that is the biggest factor in deciding if a system is one I want to sign up for. Then we'll very briefly take a look at the user interface, see how easy it is to identify where we need to go and what we need to do. That'll take us right into setting up a booking event and how that all works. Also, because I just have a very excitable too much gene, we'll be doing a side quest into contract and questionnaire creation. And finally, once we have our event all set up, we'll take a look at the booking page from the customer point of view. By taking a holistic approach to the system, we'll be able to get a better idea of how it works, how it looks to clients, and if it's worth it. I try to dig into all aspects of the user experience with these systems to cover everything someone might encounter. Whether it's color choices that impact visibility, dashboard flow, or anything else that might make the experience enjoyable or frustrating, I want to highlight it. Now, I know there might be things I look at that you think aren't a big deal, just as there might be things you feel I should focus on that I don't. That's totally fine. I respect your opinion, and I hope you can respect mine too, even if we don't see things the same way. Now that all the chit-chatting is done, let's get to it with our first category, pricing. The pricing for Session is super straightforward. You can either pay $19 month to month, which is more flexible, or choose the yearly subscription at $14 a month. The yearly plan totals $168, which is like getting 3 months for free compared to paying monthly all year. The features list is right next to the pricing, broken into sections that cover everything Session offers. Some of the standout features for me include the booking calendar, contracts, questionnaires, partial payments, automated invoices, and analytics. Honestly, it feels like a well-rounded system you could use all year, especially since Session now also handles gallery sharing. For the pricing section, I'd love it if the pricing box stayed sticky and scrolled with the user down the features list. This list isn't very long, but the pricing does vanish as you scroll down, so having a sticky price box would improve the user experience a lot. One cool thing about Session and them having a month-to-month option is that it ends up being a very flexible pay-as-you-go model. You can cancel anytime without losing your data, which is perfect for reactivating your account during busy seasons, like when it's mini session time, without any hassle. You're also not wasting money when you're not actively using it. Just keep in mind that you won't be able to book new sessions while your membership is canceled, which seems very obvious. Finally, Session offers a no-commitment 14-day free trial, which is perfect for trying out all its features before deciding to subscribe, which will nicely take us into our next section, all about the user interface, as we activate our 14-day free trial. When we first log in, we are greeted with a standouts pop-up, letting us know of the recent updates to the system. This does only appear on our first login, so it's not a pop-up we have to worry about every single time. But it's nice to see what important changes they've made to the software, even though I don't know what the old interface looked like. We can dismiss this section with the button at the bottom, and from there, we are in our session dashboard. There is fabulous communication on what we need to do first. It's right there for us in big letters that we don't have any sessions, and so we should get started making some. But what we're doing right now is exploring the interface. So we'll get to the session making in session in a second. With the color palette of session being black and white and some gray here and there, there's not really going to be many moments of individuals with certain visual needs having accessibility issues with their dashboard. The contrast on the site is excellent, the buttons are consistent, the textual elements are clear in typeface, and also a great size. I did notice something odd with the text though. At 100% screen zoom, the top of the 14 pixel A's look like they're partially erased. It's strange, but increasing the font size on your web browser does fix it, so there is a quick workaround if it bugs anyone. Not a major issue, just a funny little quirk that stood out to me. The navigation is clear with the main components of the system laid out nicely. There's also a Manage dropdown that organizes the other features in a clean menu, keeping the main interface uncluttered. It's a very simple interface, and even though it has a lot within it and can do a lot given what the pricing page listed, I don't immediately feel like I need to dive into every single component like the galleries or the board. The main focus for me, which is made clear from my first login, is setting up a session, leading us into our next category, setting up a session. There's a couple buttons for creating a new session from the main dashboard, making it really easy to find your way through the system. Once we click on one of these options, there's a pop-up asking us to create either a new mini session or a new full session. I briefly ran through the full session option just to see if there's a big difference, but really they are very similar in setup. The full sessions are intended for a specific client, for a single day, whereas with the mini option, you can set multiple dates and time blocks for many people. Other than that, the rest of the setup is fairly similar. It's worth noting here that Session allows you to create session types, essentially templates for your bookings, which are particularly useful for full sessions. This feature lets you set up a session once and reuse its settings for future bookings, saving you from having to re-enter information like package price or duration of the session. It's a valuable tool that speeds up your workflow, especially if you frequently offer similar types of full sessions like 8-hour weddings or an hour-long family session. For this walkthrough, I'll be setting up a new mini session from scratch, so we can explore all the setup steps in detail. After selecting our session type, we can name it whatever we like and proceed to the edit screen, where we have additional elements to add. Clicking on the first button brings up an area where we can add a waitlist, images, and a description. One thing to note about the gallery section is that you can't multi-select images when uploading. You have to add each image one at a time. If you have all your images gathered in one folder, this process can get a bit tedious with all the clicking. I was glad I only needed to add 4 images to this description gallery. With the images in place, we can now fill in our description. We get a decent amount of text formatting options, allowing us to spruce up our description and organize it for our clients so it's easy to read. With this section complete, we'll hit save and return to our edit session screen to add our date and location. There's a handy calendar for easy date picking, and we can enter a location if we have one in mind. We can enter our start time for our session, and then my most favorite aspect, we can blanket set the duration with options from 1 minute to 14 hours. Which, has anyone ever done a 1-minute mini session? Let me know, and also let me know how it went, because you're somewhere between my hero and an absolute mad lad. We're sticking with 15 minutes because that's pretty standard issue. After that, we can set the number of spots and the gap in between those spots, because breathing time between each time block is actually so easy to forget about, but also so incredibly fundamental. Anyway, with all of that set, we can see our available session blocks are figured out immediately for us. There's no counting the minutes or messing up our break times. It's taking the hassle out of timing and is just fabulous. Now we come to one of the most important aspects of our session setup, packages. In the pricing setup menu, we have the option to choose between single package or multiple packages. Personally, I always used a single price for my mini sessions. However, if you're setting up a full session and want to offer multiple options, the system is very intuitive. You can add specifics to each package as desired. For my mini session with a single package, we'll input our session fee and specify any deliverables that come with that session. Next, we'll come to the payment connection area. I do want to connect this, so I'll quickly run through that process. After connecting the payment, we'll return to the setup menu, which now offers additional options for collecting fees. There's also a section for client gallery settings. I wish this was separated from the packages and fees section because it's easy to overlook. Yet it's a really cool new feature in Session that deserves to stand out. In this section, we can choose between providing final edits or soft proofing, and we can also limit the number of photos our clients can download if we wish. I understand why this is in the packages and fees area, but again, I just wish that it had its own section to reiterate that the gallery section is here. With that all finished, we're just about done with our mini session setup. There are still tons of other goodies like add-ons, contracts, questionnaires, and personalized communication. I was kind of hemming and hawing over if I should go on the contract and questionnaire side quest, and you know what? I think I will. It's all good aspects to explore, and I'm intrigued. Okay, so since this is a side mission, I don't want to get too deep with the creation. I only want to briefly show it off, get a feel for the process, and then move back to story mode. From the Manage dropdown, we can access the contract creation area where we can set up new contracts. This section lets us input all the necessary contract details. At the top, there's a formatting bar with standard features to make our text and headings stand out. Plus, the Smart Field dropdown allows us to add autofill information, making it super easy for clients to complete their forms. We also have client interaction tools like an agree/disagree button and a client initials area that prompts clients to add their initials. Pretty handy. Since I already have an established contract, I'm just going to copy paste the information over to this text field. While I have definitely sped up this screen capture, I was still pleasantly surprised by how quick and easy it was to get the contract in place. I took more time thinking of the fields I need to include and accidentally did leave off the client phone number, which I'm just gonna squeeze in right now. The only thing I wish I could do is preview the contract to see how these highlighted fields are going to appear, and if I should be doing more to make them stand out or format them differently. Other than that, the contract creation is very simple, especially if you already have your terms and conditions section and can just copy and paste. Also, PSA for always having a lawyer look over your contract whenever you make updates. Moving to questionnaires, which I don't really do for portrait sessions. I save questionnaires for weddings mainly, but there's definitely merit for having a session questionnaire, especially to know who will be appearing in photos. All that to say, I don't have any pre-existing questions, and there doesn't seem to be any templates within Session for questionnaires or contracts, so we're just going to be flying by the seat of our pants here. First, we'll name our questionnaire, we'll explore the answer types, short text, long text, yes or no, drop-down, checkboxes, and statements. These options cover all the types of answers we might need for a photography session, and I currently can't think of another answer type that would be useful. Regarding the statement box, I wasn't sure at first what this was for. However, when it's selected, Session provides a helpful tip that it's an extra bit for us to say to the client. I use this as the introduction for the questionnaire, but it can easily be utilized to create sections in questionnaires that might have more questions, like for a wedding questionnaire. With my questions in place, I'll hit save, and then we'll add our contract and questionnaire to our mini session booking. Now it's time for us to release our precious mini session event onto the masses. Well, it's not really the masses. We are going to be the only ones looking at this little dude, so we can check out how it appears for our final category, the client POV. I received a comment some time ago suggesting I should look at things from the client's point of view. And I will tell you, it really struck me how important that perspective is. If it's not easy or intuitive for the client, you might lose business. So whenever it makes sense, I try to showcase that viewpoint. This time, I set up my husband to go through the different elements involved in signing up via my session link. I only told him that I was responsible for the textual elements on the sign up page, the contract, and the questionnaire. I didn't want him thinking that Session came up with that information. I also changed the price of my mini session so he could get the full booking experience just without the full booking fees. My goal was to get his genuine user feedback on the system and see if he enjoyed his time using it. So I'll hand this section over to his voice and screen recording and come back momentarily.
Okay, so I land on this page for the photographer. I see some of the examples of their images, so I know I'm in the right place. I can see information, confirm the price. All this is great to see right before I get to the date. I can choose from 4 available spots. It's really nice to see how many spots are available so I know there's no missing text that I need to use on the scroll bar. I'll pick a session time that looks good for me. I now see this is probably a button to click on because it popped up out of nowhere. It's nice to have that confirmation so that I know, just to double check the other ones. Going in, I'll go ahead and put in my name. All right. And okay, it did catch that I didn't have my last name, so we're gonna put that in. It was nice that auto selected it. It was very clear where I was supposed to go. There was nothing down here to let me know, but it's a small form, so I was able to see immediately where the error was. I assume if the form was a little bit longer, it would have been possibly harder unless it scrolled up in place. We'll sign the contract. Taking a look. It's kind of all cluttered up here, but I know my information, so it's probably fine. But I guess if I mistyped something, it would have been nice to see it a little bit more cleanly. Session details looks good. Location, TBD. I guess it's fine. I'd like to know when it will be. All this looks good. The non-refundable retainer, $1. For the most part, I click I agree without reading it anyway. Payments first day. I guess it's kind of interesting there's 2 of these. I would almost imagine missing the one if I scroll down too fast. I'm reading on purpose, but if I just scroll down to this point, might have missed that first one. But I can agree, first day of the session, payments must be made. Well, I'm making a retainer now, I guess. Anything additional? It's not clear here. Sometimes this one is sign it. Like normal, but sometimes you can type it in and it auto signs for you. Next, on to the questionnaire. Take time filling out. Have you worked together? Yes. Who will be appearing? Say myself and my dog. The theme, family's good. We'll be bringing pets. Cute. Yeah, we can move on to book. Looks right. I'm missing some of the information I filled in to verify before I put in my payment. I don't know if the number of people I was bringing mattered, but it would be nice to confirm that. You're all set. Okay, 10 gave me the time. Great. Session details. I'm a little scared to click these usually off of receipts because I'm nervous it's going to take me away before I've reviewed everything. I'm going to click it just to check. Okay, it is a pop-up. Fun list of things. I assume a full site would have everything. Book another, I assume, take me back to the main page. Cool, telling me the payments. I would love if I could send myself the contract. I don't think I had. It's interesting, I can click that again. I don't I would want to check my email to make sure that got emailed to me, especially this validation. Here it is. An email has been sent. Perfect. So that's everything I was looking for. Curious about view answers. This is okay. So this is what I said. I wouldn't mind if that was actually at the top here for me to just verify rather than having to click into it to make sure. Ultimately, they kept it very clean, very simple. So I didn't have to do a lot of scrolling. Sometimes I wouldn't mind if I did. If I did have to book another slot, it's all filled out. It's grayed out. That's cute. So I could see how full it is getting, which is pretty nice. But let's say I also wanted to book at 12 o'clock. I already know that I want to book it for Pony and everyone. And we go next on contract. I can imagine getting to a spot like this. I am curious if I just say I don't agree, if I could go through. It does let me go through even though I didn't agree. I don't know how that would handle. I think also at this point, I'm looking at it thinking what happens if, I'm bringing a pet. There's other information I might want to include that's not included on this form that I might want to, like if I had some sort of concern or question. There's nowhere even that says where I could email a photographer. I could go back to their page, I think, but it's additional steps, and I don't know if they would. It's also interesting that this is required, and I think, for example, if I just put my name in, I guess I would have to say, like, do I put my real name or do I put someone else's name? I think that there could be more guidance at that point that could get skipped over. But if I got to this point, I said, I actually want a different date. I click change and I go back through. It's still available, but if I want to go later and book, it didn't remember any of my information. So I'd have to retype all of that in. Even though I wanted to change, not cancel, and ended up doing the cancel part of it. Overall, though, I think the flow was nice and clean. I knew where I was supposed to go. The forms were very consistent. Flipping through, I'd be curious how much I'm glad to see the photos of the person I'm booking with, except it is a little just monochrome in this instance. I'd be curious if there's other style things I can do. But the language and terminology is good. The error handling is good. Again, I didn't have to sign appropriately or say I agree appropriately. But I did get a session booked, and I can actually see from the start that it booked clearly. So that was really helpful.
Watching him move through the system brought a few things to my attention. One, the contract appears cluttered with client information, so I'll need to fix that, reinforcing my desire for a preview button while creating. Two, I need to include more thoughtful information and questions in my questionnaire, like adding my email at the top, a more comments long response option, and asking if there are any mobility concerns to ensure my client is comfortable during their session. And three, the change/cancel link really needs a warning when clicked. The client should be aware that if they hit that link, all sign-up progress will be lost. A suggestion I have would be to separate these two choices into two different buttons, where if change is clicked, the other dates and time slots pop up to be chosen from, and if cancel is selected, an "Are you sure?" pop-up appears, something that offers a bit more communication to the client. I know most people probably won't get the opportunity to see how someone moves through the booking page that they've set up. So I hope that seeing this side of things gives you some insights and clarity into the client's point of view. And real quick, after the booking, if we come back into our session dashboard, we can see this time slot is booked. Clicking on the arrow here, we can fully see our client's information, their questionnaire responses, the contract, which we can also export as PDF, the retainer amount, and when the remainder of their session fee is due. Within the client file area, we can make any notes and see their upcoming session with us. It's a very nice area that's organized really effectively. I've really enjoyed exploring session from both the photographer's dashboard and the client's perspective. Session is a competitively priced tool designed with photographers in mind, making its features feel intentional and tailored for our field. If you're new and need a simple, straightforward booking system, Session is super easy to set up and use. For established photographers looking to switch to a more photography-focused booking tool, Session could be a great fit as well. While Session may not offer all the client management features that some other systems do, like built-in templates for contracts and questionnaires, or extensive client organization, that's kind of part of its charm. It's intentionally designed to focus on what matters most: booking clients efficiently and effectively. Organization features are there, but the primary goal is to streamline the booking process, not to be a CRM superhero. So, whether you're after a dedicated booking system or a tool that keeps things simple, Session shines in its focus. It's a solid choice for photographers who want to spend less time on admin and more time behind the camera. Just keep in mind that you'll need to bring your own contracts and questionnaires, but integrating them into the system is very straightforward. Now, a question for you. Are you currently using Session? How have the latest updates been working for you? I'd love to hear about your experience in the comments down below. And if you haven't tried it yet, hopefully this little look-see has given you a clearer idea of how Session can impact your business. Remember, they offer a 14-day free trial, so go ahead and see for yourself. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you'll consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that little bell icon to be alerted whenever I release a new video. Also, I'm always looking for new tools and applications to pull apart and wear like last year's Versace. So let me know in the comments down below if there's a system you've been curious about, but just don't have the time to play with. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.